Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Mame review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Die Hard Arcade on the Sega Titan video arcade hardware. This was released in 1996 and was vaguely based off of Die Hard. Here's your intro.
Roger, we got a bad situation down there. We got a band of terrorists that have seized control of the building. They're holding 30 hostages inside, including the president's daughter. I repeat, they have the president's daughter in there. We have to get her out as soon as possible. Over.
Okay, and basically what you saw there, that's your general intro. Some bad guys took a building, the president's daughter was in it, and they have to get her out of there. So they send this guy, of course, who looks a lot like Bruce Willis. Now I'll get back to what I was saying earlier about this being based off of Die Hard, which a lot of places have been very misquoted in saying this is based off of Die Hard, which is completely untrue. The game was originally called Dynamite Deka in Japan, and it became Die Hard Arcade here in the US and in Europe. The main character was called Bruno Dillinger in the Japanese version. He looks kind of like Bruce Willis, so they were like, hey, let's get this Die Hard license, and it would actually sell in Western countries, in English-speaking countries, so we can actually tie something to it. And of course, if you've ever seen the movie Die Hard, the building in this game kind of looks like Nakatomi Plaza, so it wasn't really a stretch to call this Die Hard Arcade. Even though you already notice, he was dropped by helicopter, and he's fighting various, like, terrorist people in a building, which really isn't all that much like Die Hard, because it was a movie where he had to save a bunch of hostages in a building that was taken by some terrorists, and save his wife in the process. And it was not like the president's building like it is here. It was the Nakatomi Plaza, which was a Japanese company, and he had to save his wife and the various other people there from these international terrorists who wanted to steal millions of dollars of bearer bonds from the safe. So that's why the whole fight in the movie. But here it's just saving the president's daughter. And I definitely have to say, as compared to the sequel that would come out years later, Dynamite Deka 2, the president's daughter actually looks a little bit more human here. She kind of looks a bit robotic. And a little while back, I don't know if you saw that, but that part where you're running, and it tells you an action you have to do. That's something that sets this game apart from a lot of beat-em-ups of the time, that you had to do that, and sometimes it was punch, kick, sometimes it's jump, and in one area it's moving back and forth and even down. Now, I have a slight confession to make. This actually isn't running on the Mame emulator as you see it right now. The reason for that is when the Mame emulator, the way that it emulates games is it's very CPU heavy. Now, running this game alone runs perfectly on the Mame emulator for me, but if I try to run the software I use, which is HyperCam 3 to capture the footage, it actually makes the game slow down so much that it's unplayable. So right now I'm actually running this on the SSF emulator, which is a Sega Saturn emulator, which of course uses the graphics card, so I'm able to run HyperCam and the game at the same time, so I don't have a problem there. And the only thing you'll kind of notice is when it goes to transitions, the weird thing is, if you notice in the very beginning there's that little line on the bottom that said like disc not inserted or disc tray open, and it was kind of like on the bottom of the video. Then when it went to the actual video, it went to the right resolution, and that got underneath where I'm capturing. But whenever it transitions scenes, it kind of snaps back to that initial position, and then it will come back to this. So that's why you see that kind of bar pop up in the transitions here. But that's really all, and it runs really well, just as well as it would in Mame.
Where is the president's daughter? Find her and bring her to me.
And there's the president's daughter, of course, hiding in his desk, and he can't possibly see it. Now, of course, this game was developed, well, actually co-developed by the Japanese AM1, which is also known as WoW Entertainment. AM1 stands for Arcade Machine 1, and also the Sega Technical Institute, or STI. The AM1 team provided the engineering and some design and art, and then STI provided art, design, and the animation. And then they finally put it all together. And then the studio STI was actually dissolved, which is why you probably have never heard of Sega Technical Institute. It sounds like somewhere you'd go to school. It's like, I went to Sega Technical Institute. I can make video games. That'd be kind of cool. If you haven't ever heard of the Sega Titan video hardware before, it's basically exactly like a Sega Saturn, except for instead of using a CD-ROM, it uses these like ROM cartridges. In fact, the funny thing is, when I first saw the hardware, I actually thought it was a weird Sega Saturn board, and you could actually put the cartridge into a Sega Saturn, which of course was not the fact, because the Sega Saturn's cartridge port is only for memory cards. And there's another one of those scenes where I actually succeeded, unlike the first one where it said, I think it said kick and I hit punch. But as long as you hit that button, you will usually avoid a scene or avoid some characters. Or in that part, I would have got hit by the fire truck if I had to hit jump. And this part with the water is very annoying, that you're trying to beat up these guys, and this thing keeps shooting water at you and knocking you over. It's not like it's hurting you or anything, it's just like bothersome. It's just like if you were trying to do any like major task and somebody just kept on tripping you and you were like standing on mattresses. You didn't get hurt, but it just was like, oh my god, I wish I wouldn't get tripped so much. But you know, it's one of those many things of boss fights where you have to deal with this. Now this game supported up to 2 players. I believe its sequel, Dynamite Deka 2, or as it was known here in the USA, Dynamite Cop, supported 3 players simultaneous, which is really cool addition. But this game is actually pretty fun with the 2nd player, and I don't know if you saw it really quick at the beginning of the video, but it was actually a female character who was player 2. And of course she's not from Die Hard. And then you'll see in this scene right here where he just kicks the punk in the face. If I had actually missed that, I would have had to fight the punk instead of him just kicking right through him and then going right into this bathroom scene. Which, whenever I see any kind of bathroom scene, the movie it reminds me of is the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie True Lies, when he's like beating up all the guys in the bathroom with the guns and everything. And then like at the very end, like there's this dude who's actually using the bathroom, and he goes over to him and he's like, oh, sorry about this. And then he walks away, and the guy's like walking out of the bathroom, and like it's all flooded because all the toilets got destroyed and they all leaked all over the floor. But for some reason, whenever I see any kind of bathroom scene, I always think of like that scene from True Lies. And if you've never seen True Lies, I'd highly recommend it if you like a good Schwarzenegger action film. But there's all kinds of guys who will pop out of these toilet stalls, and if you were in front of those doors when they came flying out, you would actually get hurt because the door would knock you over, and then you would lose health. And of course, when it comes to like an arcade game, if you're actually playing this in arcade, you value your life a little more than I would here, because you're actually playing real quarters. You're not just pressing like the button to insert more coins like I just did right then. What's a little strange about this game is when you press the coin button, it kind of does this like this whip pan around the screen. So if I kept pressing it like a lot, it spun around. And what I was actually talking about, the whole based off of the Die Hard thing, in the Mame's history.dat file, if you actually look at it, it says Die Hard Arcade is based on the Bruce Willis movie of the same name, which, as I had mentioned earlier, is completely not true. Sega just acquired the license so they could sell it better in English-speaking countries, because it's one of those things, like, you can sell a game called Dynamite Deka in like, Japan, because it's a Sega beat-em-up action game, and it's released in Japan. That's all you really have to do, is to sell it in Japan. But when it's like a weird name and you really don't know what it is here in the US or even in Europe, makes it a little bit harder to sell. But suffice it to say, Die Hard Arcade is an awesome beat-em-up game on the Sega Saturn and on the arcade here. And I highly recommend this to anybody who likes beat-em-ups, who just generally likes Sega, or even if you have the passing interest in Die Hard. You're basically this cop that's like you against everyone, and it kind of has that Die Hard feel, even though it wasn't really intended to be a Die Hard game. And as I said, I'd highly recommend this for beat 'em up fans, Die Hard fans, just everyone. If you like a good beat 'em up, it's just a really fun game. Well, this has been another Game Nexus Mame review, and I shall see you later. Bye.